Morning from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to Lifestyle Thursdays. My name is Silver Wanja. Now today we're going to have an amazing conversation. Like for those who are in Rausho, I hinted about what today's conversation is all about. Now tomorrow we have World Press Freedom Day. It will be happening in Nairobi, and we want to understand what press freedom is. Okay? So right now so many people have that liberty to post content, to share content, and citizen journalism came about as a thing, okay, whereby we have people giving reports on things that are happening within. Now, in readiness for tomorrow's event on World Press Freedom, we have with us a journalist on set so that we can be able to discuss what press freedom is. Let us understand the background to what we now call press freedom. Where did we come from? Where are we at right now? Where are we going? Okay, and today, Lasiko Pekiangu, we have Faith and Rachel. They are out on assignment, but they send their regards and they say hi to you. They'll probably be with you next week. Okay, so yeah, let's get started with today's conversation. Now, I won't spoil much by saying a lot of things. Let's just get into the conversation because we know time is limited. When you have these interesting conversations, time is usually shrinked. So let's not waste so much time and let's get into it. Hello, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
Sylvia?
I am good. Yes, I am. Okay, using this camera, introduce yourself to the viewers. Tell them who you are and what it is that you do so that we can get started.
Great. My name is Kioko Kivandi. I am a journalist here in Nakuru as well as a journalism trainer at Egerton University. I've been a journalist in this town, now city or county, for quite a while. And of course that then means I've been a journalist in this country and the region for quite a while. Wow, yeah.
Wow, that's nice. So meaning you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to journalism.
I don't know how to put it, yes. But let's just say I've been there for a while. Yeah.
Okay, so before we get started on what is press freedom, I had a question. You have been in the industry for a very long time. How have you seen the evolution so far?
I would say that there's quite a multiplicity of the media platforms that we use these days to share information. Yeah. Radio, TV, of course, there's been an expansion of our frequencies. The introduction of the digital platform for TV, of course, expanded expanded the space, and therefore now we have so many TV stations, up to and including this one. Yeah. A while back we didn't have it. Yeah, it's because of that expansion. Yeah. If you've had recent discussions with the CA, the Communications Authority of Kenya, they are saying the radio is also going to move to the digital platform, so we also expect again an expansion in that space. But over and above that, there is also the expansion of the platforms with respect to an improvement in technology, and now we have digital spaces for communication. Yeah. And we have quite a number of people now almost playing the same role that journalists play with respect to content production and dissemination of information. Yes.
So it has really changed over the years.
Oh yes. And that is just from the time I started. If you get a journalist who is older than me, they will then start telling you how a while back they would go and line up at a booth, at a telephone booth, so that then they can actually get a chance to wire their story to Nairobi. And so on and so. You can actually imagine, those telephone booths. I don't know whether your generation actually not even using, but whether they actually found telephone booths in the
we didn't find them
in the market. Yes. I'm sure these days, if you find one, you just want to stand just beside it and take a photo because it's almost like a museum, right? But that's where we are coming from. Wow. And so on.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So today's discussion is about press freedom. Yes. Now, let's just start from the top. What is press freedom, or what does press freedom mean to you?
Okay, perhaps what it means to the media industry and journalists all over the world. And when you are introducing the topic, you said we are going to even get like a brief background on how we got here. So in between April 29 and May 3rd, 1991, newspaper journalists in Africa met in Windhoek, Namibia, and they were discussing about how to strengthen free, independent, and pluralism of the press in the region. And they ended that conference, which had been courtesy of UNESCO, the United Nations body that is given the mandate of pushing for education, as well as culture and scientific knowledge and so on. So they came up with a declaration. That declaration is referred to as the Windhoek Declaration because of where the meeting was being held in Namibia, Windhoek. So that was 1991. Then in December 1993, the United Nations, through recommendations of the United Nations Assembly, General Assembly, then declared that every year on 3rd May, as a way of commemorating the Windhoek Declaration, then journalists all over the world then will be marking the World Press Freedom Day.
Wow.
So that's how it started. Then we can actually say, because that declaration was in 1993, so we could say then the first World Press Freedom Day was in 1994. However, the declaration was done by UNESCO, by UN in December 1993. But what's very important is we must never lose track of the Windhoek, declaration. And I've said, then the main aim was to push for a free, independent, and pluralistic press. Of course, when we talk about free, we are talking about free from any pressure, free from any force. When we are talking about independence, we are talking about the autonomy to decide whatever it is you want to do as a journalist without any external influence. And when we are talking about pluralism, is actually what we have just explained. The fact that any ecosystem, any jurisdiction, we are talking about governments, we are talking about countries, should develop laws or an environment where the media can just grow without any hindrance, like we've had in Kenya now, where we can actually, to a certain extent, pinpoint that there is a multiplicity, there's been a growth of the media space in the country. So that is what it means. Every year we usually have a theme to help us focus on a certain issue. And this year we are looking at the role of the media in countering what the world is currently going through with respect to climate change, the environmental crisis, and so on and so forth.
Wow, I've loved what you have said, like tracing back to 1993 and up to now, the culture still keeps going. And do you think, as the media industry in Kenya, have we attained that press freedom, or do we still have external pressures that are maybe making the media industry biased or take sides with a particular agenda?
It's a yes and no. Yes, there's a multiplicity of media platforms in the country. There's a growth of the space, the freedom of expression, and so on and so forth. But we never experience it to the bloom. And our desire as media stakeholders would be to see that we keep on progressing. But once in a while, we keep on going down. Like this year, the report is that we have gone down with respect to the press index, our press index as a country, we have gone down while we should have gone up. And you can almost, easily pinpoint certain factors that could have led to that. A while back, you saw journalists being clobbered, being hurt when they were doing their work. Every now and then you keep on seeing or hearing certain negative comments against us. And when a statement is issued against one of us, it has been issued to all of us. I will pinpoint, for instance, the recent statement to the Africa Uncensored team when they produced that story on the fake fertilizer. And a certain key government official actually came out to name their leader, that's Alan Namu, in a very demeaning words and so on and so forth. In the past, we have seen a regime that kind of even lumped the media together with the civil society, and we would be referred to as the evil society and so on. We have also seen certain statements, like Githeri Media. Such statements are not statements that are just out of nowhere. They are well thought ideas that are meant to, first of all, demean you as the industry. And as they demean you, then they actually take certain privileges from you and so on and so forth. So, and then even in the recent times, we have seen, or there is this feeling that the government is there to muzzle the press in the country, especially, private-owned media. Well, in Kenya, the media is, we could actually say, 99% private owned, because apart from KBC and a few of its outlets, then all the other media outlets are actually private owned, including this one, right? True. But what did the government do the other day? We saw the Ministry of Information giving out a statement that there is a way they want to channel government advertising funds. They want to use a certain organ and so on and so forth. And even when they are engaging a privately owned media, then they also want to pick a certain entity and so on and so forth. In a way, then at the end, the way advertisement funds end up being distributed is they are being taken away from the free market that we have been used to. And now the government wants to bring some hand in it. And that we feel is a way of controlling the media, because it's like, say, if you don't toe our line, then, or if you want government funds, you must toe the line. And there's been this feeling that from the 2022 election, perhaps the government has felt there are certain media outlets that did not sing their chorus, and therefore then this is their time to hit back and so on and so forth. Yes.
And that shouldn't be the case, because journalists serve as society's watchdog. So they need to keep their eyes open. They don't report on specific things, they report on everything without biases on any particular side. So holding them down or trying to pin them so that they can go in a certain direction is not doing justice to what they were meant to do.
You see, all those factors put together are what then will actually contribute to self-censorship. And self-censorship is one of the poisons of the industry. The fact that you will not even wait for anyone to come and tell you this is what you need to report on, or this is what you should not report on, and so on. You'll just block yourself, knowing that if I do this, I will miss business, I will miss this, and so on and so forth. Yes.
And that should not be the case.
Yes.
Okay. And we have talked about the evolution that has happened over time, and now we have the introduction of the digital space, where we have social media and various apps in. So we have very many apps in the social media. We have Twitter. We have all these applications, and people have now taken into citizen journalism, whereby before the mainstream media comes and covers something, you get there and cover the story and publish before them. And there has been talks of whether the digital space has come to replace the mainstream media, and whether it's possible to actually do that. And the fact that these people who are now practicing as citizen journalists are not following the codes of conduct that are there. So it's a chaotic space, but it still has a particular power that people are afraid that it might come and replace the mainstream. So do you feel that it's possible is that possible to replace the mainstream, and how has the introduction of social media affected press freedom?
No, there is no way that social media will ever push away or the application of or the use of digital spaces will push away mainstream media houses. What sometimes we tend to forget is that we usually call them legacy media houses. Legacy media houses and also community media houses. But really, we tend to forget that the same media institutions are also using digital spaces to also tell their stories. So what has expanded are the platforms to tell the story, platforms to channel out information. Okay? And what we need to stick to is the fact that the media is actually an institution. When we are talking about an institution, then we are talking about structures and so on and so forth. And there are actually other media houses that are media houses because they are existing on the digital platform. All right? In the very way that you, as a media institution, you'll also use, the very digital spaces to also tell your story. So we complement each other. There are times a story will break out on the digital space, and the mainstream media will pick up and tell a deeper story. There are times a story will also start on mainstream media, and it will be picked by guys who exploit the digital platforms. And continue that way. So it's an ecosystem where every individual or every of these arms is important to the other. It's not a competition really. And sometimes I pity those people who just come and start chest thumping. It's not about chest thumping. There is a space for you here. Why don't you just exploit your space? Who told you to come into the space and start telling me now, oh, I am, you will see, you and so on and so forth? You exploit your space, exploit your time, your talent, and so on and so forth. And even so, we are where we are because of improvement in technology. Who tells the guy today who is exploiting maybe TikTok that tomorrow TikTok will still be relevant? All right? We are not very sure of what will happen tomorrow.
Very true.
There could be a new development in this that will render TikTok useless. So what happens if you have been a big, you are a big name, a big brand on TikTok, and a new thing comes in? How will you feel when now the new thing now starts telling you, you don't know where we are and so on and so forth, right?
Very true.
Look at, for instance, look at photography, for instance. I do photography, right? When I started enjoying photography. It was those periods where a gentleman would come on Christmas at our homestead with a film thing and so on, and it would be at a certain time, before the sun is too hot, before and it's not too early because it's too dark and so on. And there's even a way we would be told where to stand and so on and so forth.
Colors,
right? Now we have DSLRs and so on, right?
Yes.
Has that taken away fully the business of that photographer in the village?
No.
He's still doing his photography, only that now he has new tools. He has a new technology. He has not been pushed out of business. Whether people were saying, because now we have phones, photographers will lose their market and so on.
Yes.
But if you just walk today in the streets of this city, among the people you will easily spot along the streets are photographers.
Very true.
And so on and so forth. So it's about the changing technology. Yes.
Okay. Which we need to embrace, but again, it has not come to replace the mainstream. Okay. And back to social media, there are a lot of content creators everywhere who are taking up the role of being a journalist, and most of them don't adhere to the codes of conduct that have been put in place, the rules that are there that control how information is disseminated to the public. So do you feel, is it important for them to go through the training so that, or to be regulated so that they can disseminate what is right?
You know, it's a coalition for the willing. If you see that training is for journalists. If it's a training for journalists, why would you push someone to come and go through your training? For instance,
they don't want
why would a medical doctor push a herbalist to start learning their crafts of writing the way they write, you know, in that kind of handwriting that you can't even decipher what they are saying and so on and so forth. Content creators just need to be allowed to swim in their space, in their ocean, and so on and so forth. If there is a code that perhaps needs to be developed, it could be developed really, and they could go through that for them to just, you know, appreciate that every time they share information, every space and every minute they spend in their space, they have an opportunity to destroy lives, they have an opportunity to build lives and so on. So that then they can also see it as a responsibility. It's not training them to be journalists. No. No. If today the Kenya Defense Forces decides that every Kenyan should get some basic skills on defense or defensive mechanisms, right? And they agree that we should be trained. We will not be doing that training so that we can become soldiers. Not really.
We won't.
Not really. Even them, they can go through a certain kind of, you know, training or discussion for them to just appreciate the kind of responsibility they have in their hands. All right? But not really to make, if they are not interested to become, there are people who are, like I said, swimming in that space, who are actually journalists and have gone through training as journalists. And some of them are actually the highest abusers of the space they have been provided. People don't respect laws just merely because they have been trained. Not really. Sometimes it's just
that decision.
It's something ingrained in you, engraved in you, that I have a responsibility. Okay? It's like, you know, the broadcasting space is actually a public good, right? And why we behave well, why we don't dance naked here and so on, is because we appreciate that this is a public good actually. And we have a responsibility to do that. And this is now actually the difference now between that social media and mainstream media. Because mainstream media, and most those you are referring to as content creators, some of them are just a one-man show. When you are a one-man show, you lack the opportunity for a second, a third eye, and so on, a second perspective, and so on. And this is the beauty now of the mainstream media structure. You have an opportunity for editorial and so on and so forth, so that by the time your product comes out, then it has an ingredient from this side, an ingredient from this side, and it becomes a holistic product. But this other one, there are floods, right?
Yeah.
And here I am. I just put on my camera and just keep on walking and so on. There's no editor telling you, just pan around there and I need that shot and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, I get it from that perspective. And so that bit of training is important. And also people need to understand their responsibility.
The main issue is responsibility. People don't respect laws. People are not good journalists merely because they were trained.
Yeah.
It goes beyond training to become a good journalist.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
We have guys who have, even if you have a degree in, even if you have a PhD in media ethics and you are a journalist, that will not translate directly to you becoming a good journalist. But it's that understanding, it's a reflection within yourself. Why did I decide to become a journalist? And what change, what impact do I want to bring to the society? That for me is what is usually lacking. But if today we were to start picking names, we'll pick some very big names in the industry who fell down because of not respecting codes, the media codes and so on.
Yeah. Wow. So I think it's very important for journalists and even the ones who are creating content to understand the responsibility they have, because they're in the public domain. So whatever they share, they're doing it to the general public. It's so unfortunate that we have seen some content creators who are not responsible, such that they go to, we've seen some cases whereby they go record some graphic content and they're not even sensitive enough to give that warning, that prior warning. So you click into a video and watch something that you were not ready to watch.
Sure. But what we are saying is that sin or crime is not being committed by content creators alone or people taking a lot of advantage of the digital space. That can also happen to journalists in the mainstream media industry and so on and so forth. It happens. Anybody can fall short. But it's a matter of reminding ourselves on a daily basis. Okay? I will come and sit, in front of a camera, or I will be doing this story. What impact do I want to do at the end of the day? Let me still give the example of Alan Namu, the African Uncensored. Runs 100% on a digital platform. Sometimes when people are talking digital content creation, they just look at those guys. But remember I said, first of all, look at a media station as a media station, a media institution, and once you do that, then you ask yourself, what platform is it using to disseminate its information? We have media institutions that are using TV. We have media institutions that are using radio. We have media institutions that are using the digital platform. We also have radio stations that are running 100% on online and so on.
Wow. Okay. Amazing.
And so on. So look at African Uncensored. Runs 100% on a digital platform, but look at the impact it is creating. Today, I'm aware that Parliament is discussing a cabinet secretary, courtesy of that story, which did not run on a mainstream TV station. It ran there and so on and so forth.
That makes it very important as well. So guys, remember we're talking about press, and we are here with Mr. Kioko, who is a journalist, and we're getting to learn so much. Now we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be coming right back. So any questions that you have, you can send them on our numbers 0721105105. That is on WhatsApp, and also a normal text message, then 23814 short code, which is absolutely free. And also MBCI TV Facebook, we are live, and MBCI TV official YouTube, we are live. If you have any questions, any clarifications, make sure to send them our way. Don't go too far. We'll be coming right back.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Lion of Judah,
my trust is in you. The worship ministry team of Kingdom Seekers Fellowship Nakuru invites you to join us this coming Friday for a transformative kesha filled with anointed worship sessions. Our special guest minister will be David G.
I put them all in you, Jesus. Hey, my trust is in you.
Your trust will be strengthened and your spirit uplifted. Come and experience the power of worship and fellowship with us. Join us at the Harvest Cathedral this Friday and Sunday.
Master of the universe, my trust is in you.
Dunamis International Gospel Center presents Nairobi, Kenya Healing and Deliverance Crusade. Theme: the Day of His Power. Ministering live, Dr. Pastor Paul and Dr. Mrs. Becky Paul Emencher. Dates 16th and 17th of May 2024. Time 5 p.m. daily. Venue: Kasarani Stadium, Nairobi. Come and experience salvation, healing, deliverance, miracles, signs and wonders, and the almightiness of God's power. Special feature includes Ministers Conference holding on Thursday the 16th and Friday the 17th of May 2024. Time 9 a.m. For inquiries, call 0758 655 045. Invite everyone. Jesus is Lord.
Tune in this Thursday from 7:30 to 8 in the p.m. as we take you through on how you can prepare different types of salads from Rhino Watches Safaris with Faith. Mango salad. So vitu tunahitaji kwa meza yetu ni zipi, Faye?
We need our mangoes, our ripe mangoes.
Yes.
We need our radish.
So hizi nini nitazipata kwa market when I go to look for them?
Yeah.
So pia tukiwa pale nyumbani, it's very important for us to kuweka place tunaoshea nyanya. Kama nyanya huivishi pale jikoni kwa ile maji meka vinegar.
Unaosha na vinegar.
Okay. And for them mangoes, ulisema we don't have like, I think I like this one more, but zote ziko sawa. So kunalingana pia ni taste gani unaweza taka kwa your salad.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Okay, amazing. Welcome back, guys. Remember, this is Lifestyle Thursdays with me, Sylvia Wanja. And with us today, we have Mr. Kioko on board, who is taking us through press freedom. And we are discussing the matters around media and how media has evolved, media has changed. We now have the digital platforms, how they're affecting the work that people in the media industry do. And yes, let's get back to the conversation because there's still so much more that we need to discuss so that we can have the answers before we finish the show today. So, Mr. Kioko, what are some strategies that journalists can employ when it comes to ensuring that they have exercised their freedom that they have as the press in the media industry in Kenya?
Because, you know, we share factual information. Or we are supposed to share information that is factual.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things is to make sure that before you release any information, you've done a lot of fact checking, background checking and so on, to just make sure there are no gaps. Just make sure there are no gaps. This is what you usually say, that doctors will bury their mistakes. Because if a doctor, you know, commits a mistake during surgery, what happens? The patient might die, right? And so on. But what will the mistakes of a journalist, where will they be found? They're usually screamed on headlines and so on. And sometimes those mistakes are usually very, very huge. You know, a doctor deals with one patient at a time. But a journalist usually impacts on hundreds, tens, hundreds, and sometimes millions of people at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay? So then, who should even have more caution? Is actually the journalist. Let's still go back to the surgeon, to the surgery room. A doctor will be operating on a single patient, but with them is actually a team, okay, of other medical professionals, up to and including the person who will do anesthesia and so on and so forth. Even the one who will hand over even a needle and so on, right? So it's actually a team. But you will just be one person behind the microphone. Sometimes you're just the only one in the studio. But you are impacting on 1,000 people.
Very true.
Okay? So caution in making sure that before we release any information, that information is accurate. That's very important. Okay? The other issue, but it's just generally respect to the code of conduct for the practice of journalism, either within your media house or also that code that has been given by the necessary regulatory bodies and so on and so forth. In the recent past, journalists have been blamed so much in interfering with people's privacy. Okay, that is also another element, one of the areas that we need to put a lot of caution. All right. But generally is about asking yourself, what is my responsibility in this profession? Before I'm even told by my media house, before I'm even reminded by the regulatory body around, what do I want to achieve, as a person? Okay? But fact checking, that for me would be cardinal rule, number one.
And also maintaining integrity is also equally important. We advocate for clean content being disseminated through all platforms, be it digital, be it mainstream. We need to make sure that we're responsible enough to make sure that the information we are disseminating, remember you're disseminating it to the general public, make sure it's impactful and not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Okay, so let's get into the theme of this year's World Press Freedom that will be taking place tomorrow. We're talking about journalism in the face of environmental crisis. Now, what would you say is the position of journalists when it comes to environmental reporting? Have we done what we need to do so that we share the correct information out there with the public? And what more can we do to make sure that we share more when it comes to climate change and in a way that people can understand, because we're trying to reach a wider audience?
Okay, so the role of journalists in that is one, the role of, first of all, breaking down, sharing information, right? So breaking down the science of climate change, because it's actually a science. Okay? Pick from all over the place, sometimes from even informal spaces and so on. Like our forefathers, our communities have a lot of information on climate change. Sometimes we need to go and pick that, package it, and share with more audiences. There is a lot of discussion at the moment that is happening on climate change. We need to break it down. Sometimes even explaining, concepts such as global warming, all right? Countries, especially the developed countries, are #1 contributors to global warming, right? But how do you make, let me say, my shushu, okay? In the village really understand that the actions of one of those countries is actually impacting on her life and so on. So connecting all that, all right? That is very important. Then also calling for accountability and responsibility to our countries, so within the nation, but also across the nation. I've again talked about those countries that are #1 contributors to global warming, right? we also need to voice a concern over what they are doing and so on.
Yeah.
Telling our communities about the opportunities that are there with respect to climate change.
Yeah.
We have, for instance, climate change financing and so on. Okay.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of carbon credits and so on. How can we benefit from that? But also calling for accountability mechanisms among our countries. Kenya, for instance, is implementing certain ratifications. There's something we refer to as nationally determined NDC, nationally determined contributions, I think, right?
Yeah.
These are things that Kenya has said, I will do this as my contribution towards mitigating climate change.
Yeah.
Where are we as a country, and so on and so forth, right? And also calling out leaders when they give out certain statements that are actually killing our desire, okay,
Yeah.
or our efforts to counter climate change.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But over and above that, also countering misinformation about climate change, some of which is even being pushed by politicians. Remember someone saying that trees don't bring rain, and so on, okay? Or even the statement that we have prayed and there will not, there will be no floods.
Yeah.
And in the course of time, there's actually a lot of floods, and a whole village, it's actually 3 villages, are swept away, and so on and so forth.
So
but over and above that, there's something we refer to as the ecological crisis, okay?
Yeah.
And journalists also have a responsibility to ask themselves their contribution towards the ecological crisis, or what someone is actually Pope Francis who has referred to it as the ecological sin, right?
Yeah.
And we need to ask ourselves, what is our contribution to it, especially noise pollution?
Yeah.
We have been talking about the death of responsible journalism, okay?
Yes.
Every time we do irresponsible journalism, then in itself is actually a contributor to the ecological crisis, to the environmental crisis. You know, we keep on talking about environmental pollution without asking ourselves, without talking about noise pollution. But media houses are actually contributors to noise pollution.
Yeah.
In the sense that sometimes we produce programs that have no content at all. Okay?
Yes.
That their effect, their impact actually at the end of the day is driving masses away. Okay?
Instead of bringing
there are people who have actually committed suicide because of some of the content we have produced, either as mainstream media or either as, you know, people taking advantage of digital spaces and so on and so forth. We have used also media spaces in such a way that we have driven people to their deathbeds, to their graves, and you know, the cyber attacks we do, because we are talking about taking advantage of the digital space, and that's part of the ecological scene and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been following the conversation that we are doing as journalists in this country. The conversation so far is journalists are being attacked when they are telling this story, I've not had a lot of journalists being reminded that they are also contributors to this noise pollution and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also very important. Yes.
So they also, as journalists, also they need to be careful.
Oh yes, yes. That is actually part of that's part of the environmental crisis actually. Yes.
That is happening.
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that journalists have what it takes to make sure that they can reduce the crisis, the environmental crisis that we have at the moment?
Well, our role is to call for accountability mechanisms. For instance, implementation of all ratifications, including our own climate change acts. For instance, in Nakuru, we need to keep on asking, the county government of Nakuru how far it is with implementation of that. Over and above the national act, we also have the county law on matters climate change and so on and so forth. Our role is really that, calling for accountability, because where we are, climate change is, there's a lot of calling for accountability, like I had explained before. But again, just reminding communities on a daily basis that this is a process. We're actually in a crisis. It's going to take some time if we ever get there, because every now and then it's like, things keep on getting, worse. All right? This is the second time Nakuru County, for instance, is going through, the kind of stuff that happened in Kijabe. A while back we had this similar thing, really, Solai and so on. And it is connected to, production of more rainfall than we can quote unquote consume or we need, and so on and so forth, right? And if you listen to the narrative, is that at the end of the day, there is some aspect of climate change in it. So how do we keep on reminding our communities that every person actually has a responsibility? Don't clog the waterways and so on. For instance, let me tell you the story of a certain key contributor to global warming, which we rarely talk about, and that's methane gas. Okay? Methane gas, when we are talking about global warming, most of the time we talk about
exhaust fumes,
carbon dioxide. All right? But methane is actually several times a contributor to global warming than even carbon dioxide. Where do we get it from? It's majorly from decomposing matter which is decomposing and so on. So a lot of it is actually produced in dumping sites, like Gyoto, Dandora dumping site, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you hear that out of nowhere, Gyoto is just burning from nowhere. You may want to blame the street urchins that you will find at the dumping site, but actually that fire sometimes it just grows. It just starts on its own, and it's because of methane. Methane is also being contributed by overproduction in farms, especially livestock. Okay, and so on and so forth. But we'll never really tell a farmer, the more you keep livestock, the more you could actually contribute to methane and so on. Or the other one now, where every person is actually a criminal in this, is where do we get then this matter that finally ends at the dumping site? It's from our kitchens, right?
Very true.
Every time you dump leftover food in your dustbin, and it's to be collected by the garbage collectors and so on, to end in the dumping site. All right, especially if it is food, something that can decompose, you're actually contributing to what? To methane and so on. Okay, so all of us have a personal responsibility. So this is what we need to keep on telling communities on a daily basis, really.
Keep on reminding them. Wow, wow, amazing. So in comparison to other nations globally, where do you think the Kenyan media industry is at when it comes to press freedom?
We are too far. I think the numbers now are placing us at number 160 something. Okay.
There's still much work.
Yes, there's still a lot to be done. And we have actually gone down several steps down. From last year, is it 40 something? Okay. I think in Africa, the best country is usually Ghana. Perhaps because even democracy in the region, especially multi-party democracy, in a way, Ghana has has been ahead of us and so on, right? But we are not doing well. We are not really doing well. We should be top. We should be, you know, top. Perhaps in the region. I'm talking about the East African region. We could be leading. I mean, compared to countries such as Uganda, countries such as Tanzania. In 2019, I was part of a team that went to Tanzania to survey the state of press freedom there. And I remember a very powerful statement that was given to us by a journalist who said, we have learned to detect where the landmines are and just avoid them. In other words, we've just learned to avoid getting ourselves into trouble. That is actually saying we are doing self-censorship and so on. I mean, you cannot compare the space we have here to the space they have in Rwanda and so on. In the region, we could be doing well, but if we start, you know, going further and further, then the situation is bad. The situation is bad, and we can do better, especially because of the space that we have, courtesy of the Constitution and several other legislations that have come out as a result of the 2010 Constitution. Because what the problem is in implementing. For instance. At the moment, and this is also something that I also don't see the sector, you know, raising. Our main body for regulation is the Media Council of Kenya. It has governance issues at the moment because we lack a full council at the moment for more than a year. That then raises questions with respect to our own ability to regulate ourselves, because we are supposed to self-regulate. Over and above that, we also lack another key component of our self-regulation, which is the Complaints Commission, which is also a body that was introduced courtesy of the Media Act of 2013 and so on. So all this, and you know, the Media Complaints Commission is supposed to take the role of, if there is a dispute within the industry, then they are the people we go to. Because this body is now lacking, then what will happen? If someone has a dispute with a journalist today, then they will be heading to court, and that is what we have been avoiding, because we usually feel most of the times when these, you know, cases end up in court, then in a way they also take up, they eat into our press freedom and so on and so forth. So there is also a need for the industry to really think and fasten the process of fixing these two bodies, because they are very essential in the governance structure of our sector.
Wow, that is amazing. And how do you think we can achieve press freedom, like effectively? Because right now you're saying there's still much work to be there's a lot of work to put in, a lot of effort to put in, so that we can take press freedom in Kenya to a different level. So what would you say are the things, or what are the solutions for us to get to that point where we can say that the press now has its freedom to carry out its work effectively?
Most of the time this space is being eaten by actions by the state. Okay. The recent one has been that interference of the state in a way, government advertising revenue, or that direction by the state in the manner in which government advertising revenue will be shared. All right. There's a need for the government to actually listen to what media stakeholders in the country are saying, perhaps to actually reverse that. Let this be a free market. We operate within a free market. Let it continue even when it comes to the distribution of advertising revenue. Then for the community,
Yeah.
it's very important that they give journalists space. That aspect that sometimes, journalists keep on being attacked even on digital spaces, okay? Sometimes it's really uncalled for. If you have a dispute or an issue with a certain journalist, don't just lump all journalists together and say, because so and so has done this mistake, then all of you journalists are Githeri media and so on. Okay?
Yes.
Then back now to journalists, it's very much important for us. I will still go back to that aspect of responsibility to keep asking ourselves. We have been given this public good, which is the press.
Yes.
Okay? To run it, to grow it. How do we make sure that if it is a piece of cloth, we don't take it back to the people who own it when it is in pieces, when it is tattered, and so on and so forth. Then in the recent past, the media has also been experiencing difficulties out of troubles of getting funding. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a need for us to really think about how we can get funding, especially for independent journalism.
Yeah.
Okay, so that media houses can get grants, journalists can get grants to do, stories that would never have been told. Yeah.
Without the journalists in that space.
Yes.
Amazing. So we talked about mainstream being replaced, and we said it's not possible to replace the mainstream with the digital platforms. But there's this particular form of media that has been there. It's the oldest form of media, but it's slowly diminishing over time. So what do you think is the future of the printing press?
That's exactly what I'm saying. For instance, what has happened is not that newspapers are dying.
They're there.
They're there, but they have migrated to digital platforms. So will you say then that the newspaper is not existing? No,
it's there
because the structure with which or through which that newspaper is produced is still the same.
Yeah,
we still have a managing editor, we still have a reporter, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Because we cannot just sit there and pretend that audiences have not migrated to the digital spaces.
Yeah, very
all right?
true.
You go where the audience is. So if the audience has migrated to
the digital
platform, we'll migrate there. If we wake up one day and realize that the digital the audiences have moved to churches, we'll just go to churches, and that's where we will be selling our newspapers.
Yeah.
So that does not mean that the newspaper as a feature of the press as a product.
Yeah.
A press product is dead. No, it's just the platform that has changed. We are not printing, we are sharing the same copy online on WhatsApp pages and so on and so forth. Yes, if digital content creators understand this, they will never do chest thumping. No. And even so, people still trust those newspapers which are still shared on those digital spaces than the very content that this independent digital content creator is producing and so on and so forth, because of the respect they have in the process of production.
Mainstream, so they will trust the mainstream more. Okay, so we're coming, unfortunately we're running out of time and we're coming to the end of this show, but before we finish up, what would you say or what word of advice would you give to aspiring journalists who are coming up, and also a word for the content creators who are also trying to do the same job as journalists do? You can do that using this camera right here.
The space is big for us. Everyone has an opportunity. You come into the space and find your own brand and exist. And just exist. You will always find a space. The ecosystem is such a way that everybody will find their own way of doing their own things, right?
Yes.
There is this sometimes a narrative that there are so many journalists in the industry. Okay?
Yeah.
But every now and then you wake up and you realize, this TV station has a new person.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or so and so has left this TV station and has gone to somewhere else and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Never ever feel scared. Right?
Yeah.
Because someone is telling you that the market is saturated.
Flooded.
No. The market is only saturated for those people who will come and will want to continue doing things the same way.
Yeah.
You come in with an innovative way of doing things,
Yes.
and you will always find your own way. Even that TikTok thing. All right?
Yes.
There are so many people on TikTok. All right?
Yeah.
But there are certain brands that have really exploded there.
Yeah, they've still
and some are even dead, but their content is still keeping them alive and so on and so forth.
Very true.
So you look for your own space. All right?
Occupy
Yes,
it.
and run for it. You could allow me to also use this space then to wish my colleagues a beautiful World Press Freedom Day. Those within the county, in Kenya, in the region, and all over the world.
Yeah.
Let us be reminded about our responsibility for protecting, Mother Nature, and also I wish all the best to the finalists of AJEA, the Annual Journalism Excellence Awards.
Yeah.
Those will be feted tomorrow. Congratulations in advance.
Yeah.
Actually, those who have already been nominated, congratulations.
Yeah, the nominees.
But every person doing this work, really, and you even send an entry or you never sent an entry, journalists don't do stories really to win awards.
Yeah.
Don't ever start the journey of producing a certain story just because you want to win an award.
Yeah.
No. Think about the impact you want to create in the society
By sharing that story.
with that story and so on. If you win an award, so be it.
Yes.
If you don't, you have created, an impact.
Yeah.
I was actually a winner of the very first edition and several other years after that. It's gratifying if you get the award, but if you don't get it, it's not a big deal. Yes. Yes.
Amazing, guys. That brings us to the end of our conversation today. Maybe you would like to share maybe a platform where people can reach out to you. Let's say they're aspiring young journalists, because you have been in the industry for a while. Where can they get you?
They can come to our offices. I am a very easy guy, actually, and if our offices are at Egerton University, Nakuru City Campus College.
Yeah.
All right. Here in Nakuru, along the Nakuru Eldoret highway. But over and above that, if they meet me along the streets anytime, you just stop me. Let's have a chat. We could book coffee, a coffee session, and we'll chat. On Twitter, my handle is at Kioko Wa.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. And a journalist is always a friendly person. Your society's watchdog, so you have to be very approachable. So yes, that marks the end of today's conversation. For those who will be following through with tomorrow's event, make sure you do so. And at least now you have learned a thing or two about press freedom, this social media when it comes, or the digital spaces when it comes to press freedom. We have discussed so much the environmental crisis that we are facing, the space that journalists occupy when it comes to solving this environmental crisis. Okay, now we are going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back with chic and style, so don't go too far. But for now, this is the end of this conversation. Let's get chic and style. We'll be coming right back. Don't go too far. lifestyle, you either have to choose the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. So it's for you to choose. Committing yourself to fitness is not to kumimina faith, and yes, we are gym buddies, tunapeana push so that we can get fit. It's good if we are all wholesome when it comes to living, okay? Be it eating, fitness, nini, all these things. It's good to be a wholesome being, okay? So Ntawachana hits the gym, but for now I think that's it right here at Lifestyle Thursdays. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something about press freedom. Says in a joke, content creators wengi sana wanani watch. I hope you've learned a thing or two so that you can understand where the freedom comes in. Sawa sawa, kuna wale journalists walipigana, so that right now in the digital platforms you have the freedom to post and share content. But again, be very, very, very responsible how you share that content. So enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Sylvia Wanja. See you guys next week, same place, same time, right here in Lifestyle Thursdays. Bye-bye. Yes. Hi guys, welcome to Hit the Gym. My name is Sylvia Wanja, and today tumerudi kwa gym tena. And remember tulisema it's important for you to have a gym buddy, and with me today I am here with a gym buddy. Yes, amazing. So today we're going to be working on our biceps. Tulisema that you should be disciplined even if there's no one to watch over you. Probably the trainer ameshikika mahali, ameenda kutrain watu wengine personally. What do you do?
Sure.
Hautaingia gym ukae tu ukande alafu rudi. So we're going to teach you how to work out ukiwa na gym buddy, okay? Anytime you're working out, maintain that smile, because working out isn't easy, so I can't imagine doing it ukiwa umejam.
I know.
Yeah, so make sure you maintain that smile so that the workout can be easy. So that is one set. We're going to complete 2 other sets so that we can make it 3 complete sets of bicep curls. Yes, so let's go to the next workout. Biceps, we're going to do bicep hammer curls.
Hammer curls?
Cross hammer curls.
Okay.
Like this. These are the bicep cross hammer curls, and we have done 12 reps each hand, and you have to do that for 3 sets. We've completed 1 set, so we're going to complete the other 2 sets. Okay, amazing. So then let's go to the other workout. We are going to do the reverse bicep curls. Yes, we are doing the reverse bicep curls. So before we were doing the bicep curls like this, okay? But now we're going to hold our dumbbells like this.
The reverse one, eh?
Reverse. Okay. So you bring it up, then down, then focus slow range of motion. Are we ready?
Yeah.
So let's do 12 reps, 3 sets. Let's go.